basket, and if you're not careful, he'll pick your pocket as well.
Here's the newcomer of the year last season. Now he's a household name. The Northern Arizona Lumberjacks, at one time, felt like the doormat of this league. Now they're on the doorstep of the championship game. And the tip goes to Montana.
As I said, both of these games this year went right down to the wire. Look for a little feeling out of sorts here in the first couple minutes, but both these teams know each other quite well. Fuller will try to keep the ball out of Mooney's hand.
And a turnover. Moody stepped out of bounds. Take a look at the starting lineups for Northern Arizona. As you see, the usual five. Xavier Fuller, who played for Coach Burkhardt there in Mesa.
Nick Main's 5 straight double-digit games, having a great finish to his senior year.
Lloyd off the glass, no good. Deshaun Thomas, the rebound.
Sean Thomas had gone 3 straight games without a score until last night, and he had a nice game. 8 points, 8 rebounds.
Martin off on this jumper. You see the Montana starting 5 there at the bottom, including Moody, who you talked about. Lighting it up from the outside. Brandon Whitney has really turned it on in the second half of the year as well. Here's Xavier Fuller. Outside to Lloyd. 7 of his last 14 from 3. They're guarding him tightly. Same with Cone, who launches and hits the 3. Jalen Cone, 46% from 3 in conference play.
He's the second leading three-point shooter in the league. He came into this tournament with 3 straight 20 or more games. He was off a little bit last night with only 11, but what a pretty jump shot. He jumps about 2.5 feet off the ground when he lets that thing go.
Deshaun Thomas, scoreless his last 3 games before the tournament, but had 8 and 8 last night, including 4 big offensive rebounds. It's 3-2 early. And we take a look at Travis DeCure. He trails just Mick Durham and Randy Ray for most wins in the history of this conference.
He won this conference tournament 2 years in a row, 2018, 2019. He was the conference coach of the year in 2018. He also played for the Grizzlies.
I don't know if Jalen Cone meant to do that, but he'll tell you he called bank all the way. He was just 1 of 7 against Eastern Washington from 3 the other night.
Well, Eastern Washington really picked on him. They really kept the ball out of his hands, but he, as you said, 3 straight 20-point games before that. He can really get it going. A season high 45 earlier in the year.
Lloyd with a step and 1. It's an 8-2 start for the Lumberjacks.
Watch Liam Lloyd here look his guy into that ball screen, get him to lean that way, taking him away from the ball screen, and a great, strong finish. Lloyd has struggled a little bit in this tournament. 8 points 2 nights ago, 4 in the opening game. But he's had some big nights, some big shots for the Lumberjacks throughout the course of the season. Son of Tommy Lloyd, the head coach at the University of Arizona. Watch Fuller in full pursuit of Moody, trying to keep that ball out of his hands and limit his touches.
Bannon, who can definitely stretch the floor from the mid-range or from deep. He's a 42% three-point shooter. He makes it an 8-4 game here.
Bannon, first team all Big Sky Conference. It's a real interesting matchup with the bigs, Tony. Both of these big guys lead their team in assists with Bannon and Tout. 2 of the best passing big men you're going to see anywhere.
Lloyd from the mid-range, off the glass, and it's 10-4.
Vasquez in for the Montana Grizzlies, now trying very, very hard, just as they're trying to keep the ball out of Moody's hands, him trying to keep the ball out of Cone's hands. Brandon Whitney's really the orchestrator of this Grizzly offense. Although he had a very good scoring night last night, he didn't have 1 assist, which is very surprising.
Brandon Whitney had the game winner at Northern Arizona. And shooting so far, Northern Arizona 4 for 5, Montana 3 of 5.
Whitney, as I said, kind of orchestrates the offense, but he had 18 in his first game and he's 20 in his last season's game. That's a nice lead pass by Moody. We talked all night about his shooting. He also had 7 assists last night.
Take a look at Shane Burkar, a guy who is in his 4th season. He helped them win 5 of their last 7. First trip to the semifinals since 2015 for the Lumberjacks. They haven't been to the finals since 2010.
Well, they have won this tournament a couple times in 2098. Boy, they've had a what we call buzzer's luck season this year. 5 one-point losses in conference play, and 2 of them the most heartbreaking losses I think I've ever seen. We'll see some highlights of those in a little bit. Nice pass feed, nice post feed by Nick Main into Carson Tout. The undersized post, oversized in heart though in Big Sky.
Liam Lloyd off on this one. I mentioned how hot he was recently from 3. Before that, he was 1 of his previous 11. The tournament has been different so far. Bannon barreling over a defender. Another offensive foul called on Montana. This one on Bannon. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball brought to you by Principal. We'll be back after this. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal. When you take care of your team, they take care of business. This is how we ended up with a 9-4 matchup, Coach, the other night. Drama here at Idaho Central Arena. The Northern Arizona Lumberjacks had lost to Eastern Washington 13 times in a row, but down too late. Oakland Fort, the freshman, with a big 3 to send this place into a frenzy.
How about Oakland Fort? 15 points in that game in only 14 minutes, and probably the biggest shot of his young career, maybe of his entire career. What a barn burner that was.
Before the tournament, he hadn't hit a 3 since February 6th.
Well, he's only had 3 double-digit games. He's played in every game for the Lumberjacks. He's been in double-digit in both of their games here, 15 and 13. He's having a big-time conference tournament for the freshman.
Carson Tout working on Okie, who's just checked into the game. Tout will go baseline, then spin back middle and get it.
Carson Tout is having a nice tournament as well. He started off with a double-double, 13 and 11, and then 10 and 7 in their win over the #1 seed Eastern Washington. As I call it, the smallest postman in the league with maybe the biggest heart.
Josh Bannon gives to Vasquez. Vasquez with the clock at 6. Long on this jumper. Tout comes down with another rebound. Carson Tout in this tournament, 11.5 points, 9.5 rebounds, an increase in both those areas compared to the regular season.
He's the conference leading offensive rebounder, averaging over 3 a game, Tony.
Jalen Cone lost it. Bannon with the scoop up. It's 2-on-2. Bannon off the glass. Okie with it on the block.
That was the
Outside
Lumberjacks'
goes
first
back
turnover.
to Bannon in the paint, and a third offensive foul called on Montana.
Carson Tout getting it done at both ends, picking up that charge. Great lateral movement, holding his ground there against the first team, 6'10" Josh Bannon. Remember, Carson Tout backed him down and scored on that last Lumberjack possession. Lumberjacks with their first turnover on that last possession, and Montana with 3 so far.
4 total fouls for Montana. Bannon has 2 and has to sit down. Through the hands of Wistersill.
Nice save by
Oakland
Wistersill.
Fort into the paint. A little long on this jumper. Vasquez the board.
Fort in for Cone, but Coach Burkar will play both those small guards at the same time at 5'10" and 5'11".
The first foul against Northern Arizona is called here against Jack Wistersill.
Jack Wistersill has had a hard time, the freshman from Salt Lake City, staying out of foul trouble in both of these conference games here. He was the player of the year his senior year out of Olympus High School, and he has had a nice freshman year, but he has struggled keeping himself in the game here in these first 2 conference tournament games.
Vasquez launches. He's going to be short on this 3. Loose ball foul on Northern Arizona.
Montana playing with a 3-guard lineup with the Vasquez coming in off the bench and Mooney and Whitney, the 2 starting guards. This has been a pretty effective lineup for them at times this year. Josh Vasquez, a kid who has played 120 games in a Grizzly uniform. One of those, you just tell me what you need, Coach, and that's what I'm going to do.
Whitney earns a trip to the free throw line here.
Whitney 18 in their first game last night, 6 of 8, but no assists. His last game of the season, he had 20 for the Grizzlies.
Whitney a 74% free throw shooter. Got the first one. Don't forget, we have you covered on Selection Sunday. It all starts at noon Eastern on ESPN with college basketball live to prep the day. At 6, Reese and the guys look at the men's field of 68 as the brackets are announced, followed by bracketology with breakdowns of each region. At 8, the women's field of 68 is revealed with continuing coverage on ESPNU at 9. And at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, even more coverage of both brackets. Everything is also streaming live on the ESPN app.
Starter Alano Martin back in for the Grizzlies now to give them a little bit bigger lineup than that 3-guard lineup.
Nick Maines joined the 1,000-point club earlier during this tournament. McLaughlin hit a clutch 3 late in the game against Eastern Washington. Fuller dancing through the lane and can't get the finish. Gets his own, and he earns a trip to the line.
Fuller's had back-to-back double-digit games in this tournament, Tony, 14 and 16. He is the second leading scorer for the Grizzlies, but what he did that doesn't show up on the box score, he was on the league's MVP, Steel Ventures of Eastern Washington. He was on him like ugly on an ape all night, keeping the ball out of his hands.
Fuller, great touch and a great free throw shooter. 27 of his last 31. This Northern Arizona team, in terms of their free throw percentage during the year, it's not the best in the conference, but when you look at the best 4 that they have, put them up against anybody.
Well, as we talked about, they've lost 5 one-point games in conference play this year. They have been really close to turning the corner and being a very, very good Big Sky team. You take 3 or 4 of those one-point losses, put them on the other side of the record, Tony, they're 3rd or 4th place in the league.
Whitney gets inside, blocked at the rim. Foul against Northern Arizona. This is their 4th foul within a minute.
Watch this little change of pace, change of direction. against Liam Lloyd, and boy, he blew by Lloyd like Lloyd had concrete overshoes on there, and Maine's coming from the weak side. Made a good effort, but a little bit too much body there.
Whitney with the first, and it's 14-9.
Whitney missed a couple games this year with an injury, but he has started 27 of the 27 games he's played in. 14 double-figure games and 4 20-point games. And he has played an awful lot of basketball. He and Vasquez came together, and it seems like they've been there forever and a day.
Whitney now with over 900 points in his career. After making those, he is off to a great start with 6 points, and it's a 14-10 game. Northern Arizona won in a number of areas in that loss to Montana, but one area they struggled was three-point shooting. They were just 3 of 16. Wistersill in the high post. Going to try to back down on Martin, and Wistersill a little bit long there. Thomas the rebound.
The Grizzlies had, excuse me, Tony, the Grizzlies had switched that ball screen and ended up with that big small mismatch there. Wistersill couldn't quite take advantage of it. Now we see a little change of defense. There's those two small guards in for the Lumberjacks now that I mentioned, and they like to play a 2-3 zone with those guys in.
Martin, the Flintstone, who was just one of his last 12 from 3, hits that one, and it's a 1-point game.
Martin had 5 points and 1 rebound in their win over Idaho State.
Another stop for the Montana defense. No good this time, as the Grizzlies have yet to lead in this game. On the other end, underneath it goes to Wistersill against Thomas, and he scores it.
Really nice pass. Really nice pass by Liam Lloyd there on that dribble penetration. Anytime you give up dribble penetration, either at half court or out of transition like that, bad things are going to happen.
Vasquez being harassed in the corner. Shot clock under 10. Thomas from the free throw line. No good here. Wistersill the rebound. Jalen Cone, who before last game hit 5 or more threes in 3 straight games.
Wistersill getting some quality minutes and producing at both ends, rebounding it, scoring it. Of course, he's no longer a freshman. You get this point in the season, Tony, we need to quit calling them freshmen because they are seasoned now.
And another guy that's seasoned is Jalen Cone. That's his 3rd three-point hit of the night.
I'm telling you, that jump shot of his is sweet as church music. Great finish, great lift on it, great follow through. Boy, he is fun to watch shoot.
Offensive rebound, back up with it was Thomas. He'll be at the line when we come back. Jalen Cone off to a good start here tonight. 9 points, 3 of 3 from beyond the arc, and the heart and soul of the Lumberjacks as Northern Arizona up by 6.
This is what you dream of. 2 words. March Madness.
And the Big Sky Women's Championship game coming your way tomorrow on ESPNU at 5 o'clock Eastern. The Northern Arizona Lumberjacks, they've been all over Boise this week, Coach, as they will square up with the Sacramento State Hornets. And the Big Sky women's basketball season, they were bunched right there at the top, and it was anyone's guess on how it was going to play out here at Idaho Central Arena.
Tri-champions. It's the first time I've heard of that for a long time on the women's side. 3 teams sharing the regular season championship.
Northern Arizona men's basketball team, the number 9 seed in the semifinals. A team that had 10 of their 13 conference losses decided by 5 or less. They started Big Sky play 0-5 on the road. They have now won their last 4. Big trip to the line here for Montana, as they have hit just 1 of their last 7 from the field.
Sean Thompson, very good free throw shooter for a big guy, 84% coming off a 8.8 rebound game, and more important than that, he had 4 offensive rebounds last night, giving his team 4 more possessions. Honor Mooney coming back in, Tony, after putting on that show last night. He's not scored, he's not touched the ball, he's not even shot yet. Jalen Cone 3 of 3 from the 3-point line for the Lumberjacks, and Brandon Whitney with 9 for the Grizzlies so far.
Cone 3 of 3 from deep. Tout to work on Mac Anderson. Flips it with the right. Anderson the rebound.
Good defense by Mac Anderson, the 6'9" senior from Bozeman, Montana. Very, very good defender, good rebounder, good team guy, willing to come off the bench and do all the dirty work, as you just saw.
Brandon Whitney, a guy who's had 9 or more in each of his last 8 games. He's been an enormous reason why this team has won 8 of their last 9.
Liam Lloyd having all kinds of trouble staying in front of Brandon Whitney. That's twice Whitney has shook him off that little crossover and got it right to the rim.
Fuller has had an outstanding tournament so far. Hits this one. Xavier Fuller, 16 points, 9 rebounds in that thrilling win over Eastern Washington.
And as I said, more important than that, boy, he kept the hands out of Steve Venter's hands, the Big Sky Player of the Year, and limited his catches and limited his score.
Moody for Anderson. 5 years with the Montana program, and according to the coaches, he embodies everything Montana is all about.
Well, that's a great pass by Moody. We've talked about him being the #1 3-point shooter in the league. He is also a very good passer. With his 28 last night, Tony also had 7 assists and some really, really nice passes.
What a beautiful behind-the-back pass. Tout misses the bunny. Loose ball on the ground. Whitney's got it.
Well, right at the rim after that great pass by Nick Maines. He was having a great finish to his career. He's played in more games than anyone in Lumberjack basketball history.
Mac Anderson from the top. Gets it to Moody. Clock at 5. Back to Anderson. Then moves over to Whitney. Vasquez got to let it go. Comes up empty. It's a 2-point game, but Montana has battled back to cut the deficit to 2. True Montana man, Mac Anderson from Bozeman of all places, cuts it to a 2-point lead. Tomorrow in the Association, our doubleheader starts in the Big Easy with Brandon Ingram and the Pelicans hosting Luka, Kyrie, and the Mavs at 7:30 Eastern. Then it's off to LA for Pascal Siakam and the Raptors taking on Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and the Clippers. Coverage tips with NBA Countdown at 7 p.m. on ESPN.
Tony, Northern Arizona doing a heck of a job taking care of the ball. Only one turnover so far in this game. They kept it under 10 in their win over Eastern Washington with only 8, and that is how you become Cinderella. Take care of the ball, get you a good shot every time.
Great defense by Vasquez. It leads to a turnover as Jalen Cone wasn't able to save it in.
I'm a big fan of Josh Vasquez, a kid from Torrance, California. He has been around this Grizzly program a long time. He starts, he come off the bench. He's one of those kids, like I said, Coach, what do you need? That's what I want to do for you.
There's Vasquez here. He's 13 out of 26 recently in three-point shooting. Moody is yet to shoot the ball. Gets it here late in the shot clock from the baseline.
Wow, Fuller did a great job of keeping it out of his hand. And once he did get it in his hand, Moody is an interesting study, Tony. He's not just a catch-and-shoot guy. It's a really good shooter from 3. As you saw there, he can really create shots off the dribble. In that 28-point game last night, he had some dandies. Watch this, going to his left. Fuller chased him off to that ball screen, and who was that, McLaughlin on him, and it didn't matter. He can really stroke it, brother.
First tie of this game since it all got started 0-0. A rash of turnovers here lately for Northern Arizona. And here's Thomas for 3. It's going to be short. The Montana Grizzlies, a team 43% from 3 in their last 8 games. They're just 2 of 8 to start here tonight.
Both teams have been pretty much all man-to-man. Northern Arizona played one possession of that 2-3 and gave up a made three-point shot and immediately got out of it.
An eruption from the Montana bench. They thought for sure that was going to be their ball on the out-of-bounds call.
Travis DeCure working it a little bit. Not only has he been the head coach there for 9 years, he played at Montana, graduated in 1994. Boy, he is a Grizzly through and through, part of that long tree of great coaches coming out of Montana.
A corner 3, Jalen Cone, who has been lights out so far. 4 of 4 from the field, all three-pointers.
And I'm telling you, Vasquez was on him like freckles on a redhead, and it really doesn't matter. Man, does he get lift on that jump shot. He jumps up like he's on a pogo stick before he shoots that ball. Look at this contested 3 by Jalen Cone. And look at what I'm talking about, how high he gets up on his jump shot. Vasquez right there in his grill, and it really didn't matter.
He can make a great defensive possession look bad in a hurry.
Well, we saw Moody down at the other end about 2 possessions ago. Tony hit the same type of jump shot, not quite that deep, going to his left, falling out of bounds, a guy all over him. That's the reason these 2 guys are both all-conference guards. Well, look at Fuller really working on Mooney there, trying to keep it out of his hands, chasing him around. I mean, he's working like a government mule trying to keep that kid in check.
Here goes Bannon, fading away from the baseline. All Big Sky Conference, and for a very good reason.
No, Bannon is a really good player and a complete player. They play him as a small forward sometimes when they go to a big lineup. As I mentioned, he and Tout, the 2 best passing big guys in the league. They both lead their team in assists.
McLaughlin, too strong on this one. Northern Arizona started 4 of 5 from 3, now 4 of 6. Moody runs one off the rim. His first decent look.
You know, I'm not too sure after seeing him a couple times. I didn't see Mooney all season that he doesn't shoot a little bit better and is more comfortable going to his left than he is to his right. And keep in mind, he is right-handed.
Fuller spins to the base.
Oh, we got too far to the baseline there. That was a tough shot. He's had an awful good tournament, double digits in both these games. But what I talked about, what doesn't show up is his defense.
Deshaun Thomas with a beautiful feed from Josh Bannon. Bannon had 11 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists. In one of the earlier matchups, it's the first Montana lead of the night.
I've already addressed what a great passer Bannon is, and boy, that was a breakdown in transition defense there. As I used to tell my team, there's 5 of them, 5 of us. How come 2 guys regarding 1 guy? Here's that great pass from Bannon to the big kid, Deshaun Thomas. And the Grizzlies finally wrestle the lead away from NAU. Come on back to the Big Sky tournament, folks.
Coming up on the All-State Halftime Report, intriguing storylines of March and favorite Champ Week moment. We have one already for this season that we watched right here at Idaho Central Arena. It's one of the biggest reasons why this matchup is happening tonight, Coach. What an interesting start to this one. Montana with their first lead of the night. Jalen Cone on fire from deep. On and Moody kept in check for the most part here.
Well, Montana is on a 12-5 run in the last 6 minutes, and Montana is not going to go away, obviously. Steady as she goes. They guard you, they take care of the basketball, and they rebound, leading the war on the glass right now, 13-10.
5 3-pointers already for Jalen Cone. Before that last game against Eastern Washington, he'd had 3 straight games where he did that.
Jalen Cone hit the 3-point shot that beat these Grizzlies in Flagstaff early in conference play. A terrific game winner. Watch Jalen Cone, just hotter than a Texas parking lot from the 3-point line. And it doesn't matter if you're guarding him or not. He gets up so high and has such a quick release. Over 1,500 points in his career. He had a season high, Tony, 45 points before the conference play started. That's how many I had my senior year combined.
Front end of the 1-and-1. It's going to be good here. Both teams now in the bonus going forward.
Almost a really good free throw shooter for a guy that size at 84%. Transfer from Colorado State, originally from Durham, North Carolina, 6'9", 236. He is a big fella in this Big Sky Conference.
Thomas now with 6. On the other end, can't get that one to go, but Fuller tracks it down. Cone outside. McLaughlin flanks it out. Bannon the board.
Nick Maines has not scored yet. He has had 5 straight double-digit games and played really well in this tournament. And Deshaun Thomas all over the place. He had 3 straight games where he didn't score coming into this tournament, and he looks like an all-conference player now, throwing them in from everywhere.
He was 0 for 3 from deep before that hit. He now has 9 points, and 11 points in this game. McLaughlin into the contact of Bannon, but finishes it.
What a nice pass out of the post by the senior Nick Maines, who has played in more games than anyone at NAU. 1-point game, Grizzlies up. Guy 5 of 5 from the 3-point line here in the first half. He leads all scorers, and one is just tougher than the other. You talk about in a zone, boy, he is hotter than a cheap pistol here in the first half of this semifinal game.
Never know with a guy like this. Last night from 3, 1 for 7. Tonight, a perfect 5 for 5. Montana still with a 1-point lead here. Brandon Whitney trying to turn the corner. Goes underneath the rim, circles out. Thomas with 11 already. The step back. Can't get this one. A loose ball foul on Tout. And in the bonus, Okie is going to go to the free throw line.
That's really good individual defense by Nick Maines. Thomas really trying hard to take him off the dribble. No deal there with Maines. And that was really a tough call on Tout there on that rebound.
Okie at the free throw line. Just 5 for 14.
Okie coming off a 6.2 rebound game. I thought he was pretty good off the bench for the Grizzlies. Travis DeCure has really done a nice job developing this bench.
The ACC men's first and second rounds coming your way. You see that coming up tomorrow, a quadruple header. Look at those, that amazing set of games. Starting at noon Eastern, culminates with a nightcap as well, all over ESPN, ESPN2, and ESPNU. A 2-for-2 trip for a 35% free throw shooter. Montana by 3. 3 fouls, by the way, on Carson Tout. He sits down.
The Grizzlies have turned it up a notch in their man-to-man defense at half court. It's amazing, isn't it, when a team that gets on a run and plays good offensively, how it helps their defense.
What a play by Okie. And he gets the loose ball. Whitney to Vasquez. There goes Whitney from 7, but an offensive foul.
Boy, Whitney has just lived in that paint off the dribble. That time getting up off his feet a little bit early. Watch this change of pace, change of direction. Nice job by Cone building that wall there. Whitney, like I said, man, he was making a living in that paint. It didn't turn out very well that time, but NAU's going to have to turn their attention to someone guarding him one-on-one.
Montana has 6 turnovers, 4 of them charging fouls.
Montana had 10 turnovers in their win last night against Idaho State.
Wistersill has come alive after a very quiet first 2 games in this tournament.
Jack Wistersill has to play a lot of post for this Lumberjack team because their backup post guy to Tout left the team. He's not really a 5. He is a shooting 4, as you just saw.
Whitney can't get this one. A tie-up, a jump ball. It goes to Northern Arizona.
Watch this nice catch and shoot by Jack Wistersill, the player of the year out of Salt Lake a year ago. Great footwork, boy. When that ball hit his hands, he was ready to launch. And as I say, he is more of what they call a stretch 4 than he is a post player, but he's getting double duty here as the Lumberjacks are a little short-handed across that front line.
You could see a number of times, Coach, as the officials will take a look at the previous play. A number of times it takes a minute for a player maybe to get settled in. Wistersill had 4 turnovers in a blink of an eye in his first moments here during this tournament. He looks much more comfortable now.
Well, he was a first conference tournament, Tony. He probably had a little bit of jitters here, you know, but he's had a nice freshman year. He's played in every game this year. He hasn't started any, but he's been a valuable substitute for the Lumberjacks. And as I said before, once you get to this point in your freshman year, you're not really a freshman anymore. Although I think you stayed a freshman for about 10 or 12 years in my mind.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you're this short, that tends to happen.
Well, it's like
people don't know you're getting older when you just don't grow.
It was like that 3 years I spent in 5th grade. You know, that was a tough 3 years.
You came out of it better each year.
Each year I grew. Finally, I just slipped out the back door and went to 6th grade.
Travis DeCure and company using this timeout.
Travis DeCure, I talked about that long lineage of coaches coming through Montana, starting with Jim Brandenburg, Mike Montgomery, Judd Heathcote, Larry Kraskowiak. It just goes on and on and on. And it's amazing when you watch him coach his team, you can see that whole long line of coaches coming out. Set plays, great man-to-man defense. Wayne Tinkle in that group. Lane Taylor in that group.
We're taking a look at this play here by Whitney. We're trying to see if indeed there's anything extra to the play, but there's not.
Well, he led with his body, that's for sure, but he did throw an elbow there. There was no malice intent on that.
All knotted at 32. Northern Arizona can set up for the 2-for-1. That's what Oakland Fort wants to do. Stops, turns, it's flat. Okie the board. Now Montana sets up what could be their final possession here of the half.
That might have been a little bit quicker than what Coach Burkar wanted out of the freshman Fort.
Here's Moody. Right to that baseline again and gets that bounce.
Oh, you talk about a shooter's touch. That ball went up there soft as a baby's bottom and hung there forever.
Those things just happen for him. There's no way to explain it. Cone launches his first miss of the half. Last chance here for Montana. Vasquez runs out of time. Cone with 15 at the half, 5 of 6 from 3. Deshaun Thomas, 11 points and 4 rebounds. Montana with a 2-point lead going to the half. Anand Moody getting that bounce on the fadeaway J in the Big Sky semifinals. Stats. This one today at the half, 15 points, 5 of 6 from 3. That's Jalen Cone. A couple of other notes. Moody just 3 field goal attempts. They've guarded him tightly. Carson Tout playing with 3 fouls. And the second half starts with the Josh Bannon lay-in.
And that was a great set play coming out of halftime. Travis DeCure, again, that great lineage of Montana coaches, kind of the masters of set plays, and that was one that's probably been passed down hand to hand, coach to coach at Montana.
Fuller misses on the first shot. Jalen Cone barely misses on the second, but Fuller with the follow-up.
And Carson Tout, the league's leading offensive rebounder, with his first offensive rebound of the night. He averages 3. It's an interesting matchup because Fuller is on Moody. That puts Cone on Lionel Martin, who is 6'4", so a big size differential there from Cone to Martin.
Cone circles underneath. We're all tied at 36.
Well, obviously he can do a little bit more than just shoot it in from 3. He is quick as a hiccup off the dribble as well.
Bannon with the answer, and he's starting to find a groove here in the second half.
Josh Bannon, first team all league. He can score with his back to the basket. He can shoot it in, and he can get it from point A to point B pretty well for a guy 6'10".
The high post, Carson Tout. Not a threat to shoot. One guy who is Nick Maines, and he's blocked by Moody, but got it back.
Maines has had a pretty quick, quiet first half. He's had a great tournament so far. He's on a run of a 5 straight double-digit games, and he has not scored in this game. Here's Cone on a great crossover. Watch this nice finish with his head up, nice concentration. And he just blew by Whitney, and then Bannon, all 6'10" of him, taking it from about 30 feet out on one dribble.
Martin with his second foul. NAU set to inbound. Tout stripped by Moody, but fouled. That'll be the second team foul here this half early on. Montana racked up the fouls pretty quickly there in that first half. That's because of all the charges. That's the second now on Moody.
Carson Tout with 3 fouls and Bannon with 2 fouls. So both big guys in just a little bit of foul trouble.
Cone delivers to Tout, who can't finish on the facial. The loose ball rebound is grabbed by Bannon.
And Coach Burkar all over the near official on that one, wanting a foul.
Bannon, another rebound for him.
A great out-of-area rebound for Bannon. He came from about 10 feet away to try to get there. And watch big Carson Tout here. Sawmill strong, going to the basket. I'm not sure there was a foul there. Well, could have been.
A timeout will step aside. Montana by 2. Hey, the Big 12 men's tournament starts tomorrow. West Virginia, Texas Tech at 7 o'clock Eastern. The winner of that will match up with Kansas on Thursday. And then the nightcap on Wednesday night, Oklahoma State and Oklahoma on ESPN2 or ESPNU. Taking a look at the black bracketology with Joe Lunardi. How about that? The Big 10 expected to get 9 teams, the SEC 8. Coach, this is always a never-ending argument this time of year.
This time of year, I almost get tired of hearing it sometimes, Tony, because I don't think I think we got to get through those conference tournaments to see how it all shakes out, but we'll find out soon enough.
In this tournament, there is no speculation. It's a one-bid lead. And in the semifinals, Fuller is short on this three. Both these two teams fighting to get to the championship game.
Nice pass out of the post there by Tout. Fuller having a pretty good look. Fuller's had a good tournament, 2 double-digit games, and boy, he has played the heck out of defense. Doing a great job on keeping the ball out of Anand Mooney's hands.
Josh Bannon a threat from the outside, but terminates the dribble here. Martin pumps for a long 2, and it's an air ball.
Really good possession of half-court man-to-man defense then by the Lumberjacks. Still down 2.
Tout with a step, throws high to Lloyd, who launches and hits. Liam Lloyd, the back-to-back state champion in Washington. He shot 42% from 3 at Grand Canyon, part of that NCAA tournament team. Just 29% from 3 this year.
Assist to Tout, who leads his team, as does Bannon. I don't know when the next time you'll see 2 teams that their center leads them. Both centers lead them in assists. The nice pass by Tout there.
Bannon with an air ball. Something feels like there's a draft in here somehow.
Well, back-to-back air balls there. Watch this pass out of the post there. You know, you don't have to be a great passer sometimes. Just make the appropriate pass, and that's exactly what Tout did. Tout had his best game of the year the last time these 2 teams got together. 23 points, 12 rebounds, 6 offensive rebounds.
Tout muscling in the paint. Northern Arizona has a 41-38 lead. The Grizzlies with a bit of a drought here, and it's a 9-2 run.
Tout, the smallest center in the league at 6'7", but boy, sawmill strong and really tough around the basket.
Moody for Bannon. There goes Bannon, sweeping with that left, but left it off the rim. Oki, the follow-up.
Nice offensive rebound by Oki, who I thought really contributed last night off the bench. 6 points, 2 rebounds. Doing something hard to get something easy, get to that offensive glass.
An answer on the other end, Nick Maines.
I tell you, Nick Maines, as I mentioned, has played more basketball games than anyone in NAU history. His first 2 or 3 years, Tony, you couldn't get him to come inside that 3-point line with a pistol hardly. Now he's developed a real nice back-to-the-basket game.
Bannon passes up on the first 2 dish-offs, then gives it to Whitney. Whitney floats in the paint. No good again. Nick Maines the board. Here comes Cone.
Nick Maines right in the middle of everything going on in and around the glass. And that turnover did not help the chances. NAU up 3. Don't go away, folks. This one's tighter than a new boot.
43-40, Northern Arizona with the lead over Montana. Montana had an embarrassing start to their season, 3-6 with a bad loss against Sacramento State. Afterwards, coach, the entire coaching staff and the team had a very serious heart-to-heart meeting. Josh Bannon, one of the key leaders for this team, said brutally honest conversations had to happen about this team not living up to what they were capable of. They took away the family on three chant. Instead of saying family when counting to three, they would just say win or Grizz. And they said they're not going to do that chant until they start acting like family. They've turned it around. They've won 8 out of 9. They've made a lot of sacrifices and unselfish plays for each other. Family chant is back, and Montana Grizzly basketball returned as well.
With Josh Bannon having a Josh Bannon game, 8 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. A great passer, a great rebounder, and a great teammate.
Great steal, Liam Lloyd. Up the court, the very dangerous Jalen Cone. Short on this one. He hit his first 5 from the outside tonight.
He's been a little short on his last 2 jump shots. You know, this is the Lumberjacks' 3rd game in 3-4 days, I guess. They did get yesterday off, but they may be feeling a little bit leg weary.
Here goes Bannon against Tout. Two of the best bigs in this conference, and Bannon just can't quite get it to go. Fuller the board.
Tout with a nice tap out there to Fuller. If you want to be entertained, look away from the wall and watch Fuller guard on Mooney. I'm telling you, he is making Mooney's life just miserable.
Somewhat of a clunky possession here so far for Northern Arizona. But Jalen Cone with plenty of time still to operate. Tout gets downhill in the lane. And it's a 5-point Northern Arizona lead.
You've seen both of these team centers take it from 10, 20, sometimes further that out and drive it all the way to the basket off of the dribble. Both of these centers just multi-talented.
Northern Arizona women's team will be playing tomorrow. The conference championship game here at Idaho Central Arena, 5 o'clock Eastern, ESPNU.
There was that matchup I was talking about between Fuller and Moody. Fuller really getting into any handoff, and if he can't bust that handoff, meaning keeping Moody away from it, he is right on Moody's shoulder when he does get the handoff. He has done a whale of a job doing the same thing to the Player of the Year, Steele Venters, at for Eastern Washington.
Nice follow by Josh Bannon. Now with 10 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists.
Dribble penetration there. Tout came over to help, and so there was no block out on Bannon. Bannon very wisely getting to the offensive glass and getting an easy one. Bannon with 7 double-doubles this season, knocking the door on his 8th.
Nice turnaround. It's Nick Maines, and it's 5 of the last 6 from the field for the Lumberjacks.
Boy, Cinderella just won't die. They hang in there, and you look up now, they've got a 5-point lead.
Bannon muscles to the left side. Great defense, Tout.
Great lower body strength. Great lower body strength there by Tout.
Oakland Fort, the hero a couple nights ago with his first 2. And the biggest lead now out to 7 for the number 9 seed Northern Arizona Lumberjacks.
Oakland Fort, 5 double-figure games in his freshman year this year. 2 of them have come in 2 previous games here in the conference tournament.
Drop step, Bannon. He has 12.
Remember, Bannon is left-handed. That was pretty handy there, going to his right hand.
Nick Maines, double. Carson Tout, wide open.
That's a size mismatch that Maines took advantage of, being able to look over the top of Whitney and find Tout down there. Those two have become quite effective 4-5 combination here of late. Nick Maines, 5 straight double-digit games before this game, having a heck of a finish to his senior year.
Whitney goes to Vasquez in the corner. That's no good.
And that wasn't a great shot, but that was about as good a shot that they could get. NAU has really tightened the screws defensively.
Oakland Fort just missed there. 7-point lead, Northern Arizona. 9-2 run for the Lumberjacks here. Thomas had a great first half. That's his first make here of the second half. He has 13.
Thomas is having quite the game. As we'd mentioned, he'd gone 3 straight games without scoring before the tournament. And I, for the life of me, can't imagine how that happened, because he's having a big name. Watch Carson Tout with this great feed from his teammate Nick Maines. And right now, folks, the Lumberjacks on a little bit of a run.
How hype can you be? How hype can you be? How loud can you get? Make some noise!
The ACC men's basketball tournament. First round games coming to a close today. Georgia Tech will square up now with Pittsburgh in tomorrow's quadruple header. Virginia Tech moves on against NC State. Boston College now squaring up with North Carolina. Quadruple header tomorrow on ESPN, ESPN2, and ESPNU. How about Carson Tout, Coach? Usually a player playing with foul trouble and being out as much as he was the first half, it can be a sluggish way to get back into the game. That has not been the case for him.
Well, this is his 3rd game in the tournament, Tony, and he has played with great confidence and great heart all 3 games. Boy, he is becoming a fan favorite here at the tournament. I know he's a fan favorite in Flagstaff. NAU on a 19-12 run this half.
And Jalen Cone continues to pour it on. 20 points for Cone, 6 3-pointers.
6 of 9, 66% from the 3-point line. Like you say back home, that ain't love, but it ain't bad, Tony. 66% from the 3-point line.
Another great defensive play, and Nick Maines coming on the double from the base gets the takeaway.
10 turnovers now for the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies only shooting 37% this second half, and the Lumberjacks 56% coming out of that timeout.
And take a look, Jalen Cone.
What a pretty jump shot Jalen Cone has, and luck the way he gets up. The 2nd leading 3-point shooter in the league, the 5th leading scorer in the league. 145-point game under his belt this year, another 38-point game under his belt. He can light it up when he gets going, as you're witnessing.
Guarding him tight here with Vasquez. Biggest lead of the game, it is 8. Fuller makes it 10 and can make it 11. This is not the same team we saw through so much of the regular season.
Well, as I mentioned, their confidence, as I was talking about, talent just keeps growing and going and going. Nice job by Fuller there. Just taking Moody to school off that dribble drive.
He played for Coach Burkar at Mesa High School. He was the Defensive Player of the Year and a key player for this team. And Carson Tout makes it a 12-point game on a 4-point possession.
Carson Tout just having his way with that bullish strength under the basket.
Nick Maines, another takeaway.
Back-to-back turnovers for the Grizzlies. Give them 11 now.
Tout finds Fuller for three. No good here.
Oh, that would have brought the house down.
7-0 run. Deshaun Thomas puts an end to that. And a much-needed three-point basket.
How about Deshaun Thomas, now 16 points, 2 of 5 from the three-point line. I said it was a mystery to me how a kid like that could go 3 straight games without scoring. He was getting big minutes in those games, too.
Moody is playing with 4 fouls. And they need his offense. They're going to go right at him with Fuller. Offensive foul. And a big one to go Montana's way here.
And I like that call from the NAU bench going right at Moody. And Fuller knew the deal, boy. He took it right to him, but lowered that shoulder just a little bit too much there.
If you're Travis DeCure, was that not the biggest exhale ever?
Oh, lordy, lordy. You're a guy that went for 28 last night, played with 4 fouls. You got to tip the preacher next Sunday.
Oh, I love it. 58-49. Whitney against McLaughlin. Cuts it down to 7. A big spurt here for Montana.
And I was just getting ready to brag on Trenton McLaughlin, how he had done a nice job of keeping Whitney out of the paint. I think that's the first time this half Whitney's been able to get to the paint. Remember, early in the game, he was just living down there. That's about I was getting ready to say that. McLaughlin let him blow by.
Cone for Tout again.
Carson
Tout with 12.
He's just strong as 3 rows of onions, boy, when he gets going to the basket.
Heat is back up to 9. Montana's hit their last 3. And now another turnover. It's going to go to Cone.
Boy, they're
Cone ahead for McLaughlin. He's blocked at the rim. Vasquez calls for the foul. It'll be free throws when we return. Northern Arizona up by 9. The heart and soul of the Lumberjacks. Carson Tout with a dozen. March is here, and the ESPN Tournament Challenge is back. Scan the QR code and download the app and play the #1 bracket game. Create a group, invite your friends, and get ready for the madness. Now, Coach, I did not see you scan that QR code. Do you still have a flip phone? Be honest.
No,
Okay.
But I do still use a cordless phone at home. How's that?
Okay, all right. That's fair enough, you know. 60 to 51.
How about the Lumberjacks? 4 of their last 5 shots have gone in. They're shooting 62% in the second half. Tout has scored 10 second half points, and they are just rolling right now.
McLaughlin hitting the first of 2. He had a clutch 3 in that come from behind win over Eastern Washington. 3 of his last 15 from 3, but he was 43% in conference play. He gets both. The lead is back to double digits, 86% from the stripe.
Jalen Cole now with 20, his 13th 20-point game of the season.
Whitney to work in the paint around Cone and missed the easy one.
Tout with his 7th rebound, 12 points, 7 rebounds for Tout to go along with a couple assists. And NAU not only playing with great confidence, with great poise right now.
Cone has to go up to get it. And he saves it in. Tout, double. Fuller, back to McLaughlin. That would have been a big one. It stays at 11.
Good ball movement there. And McLaughlin had a really good look. Usually a pretty dependable shooter from 3. Again, a nice pass for Tout out of the post. And Thomas is just having a career tonight. Now 19 points.
3 of 6 from 3. Montana now at 35% from 3. Fuller, no good here. Tout saves it out, keeps the possession of McLaughlin.
I see what Tout did there will go unnoticed by most, but McLaughlin had a tough catch in the corner. Tout comes out, gives him an uncontested passing lane, repost, and then goes to the basket with his offhand, his right hand. Tout just doing a terrific job as the smallest center in the Big Sky Conference.
What a second half for Carson Tout, especially after missing so much of the first half with foul trouble. And the Montana Grizzlies in some trouble. Down 10 now with under 6 minutes left to play. Another late shot clock.
And Honor Mooney, a kid who had 28 last night, not even in the game right now for the Grizzlies.
Nick Maines, another loose ball. Jalen Cone, another head of steam. He's bumped and fouled. That'll be 7 on Montana. And a fantastic free throw shooter will go back to the line.
Cole and I've talked about all night how pretty that jump shot of his is. When he decides to go to the basket, he has such great balance. He gets his shoulders below his defender's shoulders, and he can take a hit, as you just saw, and stay on balance. He's a tough matchup. Moody now back in the game. And I'm telling you, if you were to talk to Xavier Fuller and ask him what kind of gum that Moody's chewing, he could tell you the flavor. He has been on him that tight all night. Fuller back-to-back double-digit games in the tournament, but what he's done to really help his team, boy, he has played some lockdown defense.
Jalen Cone with 21. A guy who said he wanted to lead and change the culture at Northern Arizona. They stayed hungry, they stayed humble, they stayed honest and confident.
Oh, yeah.
So many stretches of losing.
Excuse me, Tony. Cone is also the 2nd leading free throw shooter in the league at 85%.
The lead is back to a dozen. That matches the biggest lead of the night for the Lumberjacks.
Oh, really nice interior defense once again by Tout. Bannon has gone kind of quiet here in the second half.
He had a good start to the second half. Cooled off a little sense, but gets this one, and it's back to 10.
Boy, how tough was that shot? Bannon being left-handed, a pirouette in the lane, and a great finish with his offhand. And Jack Worstersill did just about all he could do to defend that.
Worstersill launches a 3. It's short. Tout, a no board. One of the best in the conference at that. Cone misses a 3. He's one of the best three-point shooters in this conference.
Boy, Thomas got away with a push-off there, I think, on the Worcestershire.
Vasquez down the alley. An important 2 free throws for him. As Vasquez, 91.1% free throw shooter, the best in Montana history. His last miss, January 14th.
He's made 23 straight.
That is 3 fouls on Worcestershire. Martin for Montana, checked out recently. He has 3.
When he just shoots that up there like he's falling out of bed, doesn't he? What a nice touch. Has a chance if he hangs on to be the all-time leading percentage free throw shooter in Grizzly history. And there's been a lot of good free throw shooters come through that program.
Makes that one. Kendall Manuel, the current leader, at 88.3%. Still some time for Vasquez and games to be played. It's an 8-point game. McLaughlin gets it back to 10.
For more and more heroes signing up for the Lumberjacks here. McLaughlin with a tough finish, 4 points now.
Moody to Thomas. He's had the hot hand, but misses here. Fuller goes up and gets the rebound, his 7th.
7 rebounds, 8 points, and as I said, Fuller has just played lockdown defense for 2 straight nights here. First on Venters, the MVP, the Big Sky, and tonight on Moody.
Nobody home, and this ball goes out of bounds. 10-point game. Northern Arizona on top by 10. 3:48 to go. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal. When you take care of your team, they take care of business. Northern Arizona extending out to a 10-point lead with some key plays on offense.
Well, great sharing of the ball by the Lumberjacks. They've had 8 different guys score. They have 10 assists to only 7 turnovers and are really sharing the wealth. And they believe that they should be in that championship game tomorrow night, playing with great confidence and great poise, up 10 with less than 4 minutes to go.
3:48 away from Championship Wednesday tomorrow at 11:30 Eastern. Coming up later on tonight, you see the bracket there. Game 2 of our doubleheader will be over on ESPN2 at 11 o'clock Eastern. Weber State, Montana State. They met up in the semifinals a year ago. On the way to Montana State taking the conference championship. Shane Burkhardt, what tremendous leadership. Being able to keep this team together through so much of that losing. He said we were playing winning basketball, then making some losing plays. That has changed significantly as the year's gone on.
Boy, if anyone deserves some success, it's the Lumberjacks. They've had more heartbreaking losses this year than any team I think I've ever been around.
Vasquez, a big three. As he came into this one, 50% from three the last 5 games. It's a 7-point difference.
Now, can the Lumberjacks finish this off? They have had the lead for quite some time, played with great confidence, great poise. Last 3 minutes, can they seal the deal?
Fuller has been fantastic in the mid-range in this tournament. Back to 9.
He has just had a great tournament. I keep bragging on his defense, and he continues to hit clutch shots.
Moody, strong take, earns the trip to the line here.
Well, Mooney has got to be tired of Fuller just up in his grill all night. I mean, he has been on him like a blanket at times.
Anand Moody came to Montana, and his #1 reason was fatherhood. He and his wife had their 2nd child during the season, but it's Travis DeCure and the family environment and the culture that attracted him to Montana the most. They have 7 kids at the age of 4 or under across the entire staff. And Travis DeCure, according to the coaches, it's not lip service. He means it. He wants family first, academics to go with that, and then the athletics and everything else that encompasses being a student athlete. He walks the walk, and his team is down by 7 here with just over 3 minutes to go.
Grizzlies now in a hard trap press. That's who I'd get it to right there, is that little water bug guard, Jalen Cone. Josh Bannon now with his 8th double-double of the season for the Grizzlies. 14 points, 10 rebounds. He's very quietly had a very, very good game.
McLaughlin backing down Moody and then fades away. Bannon the board, his 11th. Up the court, Vasquez.
Pretty good transition defense by the Lumberjacks, getting matched up really quick and finding Moody at the 3-point line.
Bannon right at the rim. It's down to 5.
And Moody, as I said, is not just a shooter. That was a terrific pass off that ball screen.
And the fans in maroon on their feet. Nick Maines will go to the line. That previous play there, Moody finding Bannon to cut this thing to 5.
Watch this nice pass here. Little shot fake. Bannon off the ball screen. Nice roll. Moody had 7 assists last night to go with his 28 points. He is a total package.
Northern Arizona had to fight like crazy to win games. Now they're in position more often to put games away. They have the free throw shooters to do it, but a very good free throw shooter in Nick Maines misses the first of 2. It's an 11-4 Montana run over the last 3:08.
Fort coming in for Cone. I'm sure just very briefly give Cone a little breather here with just 2 minutes left in the game.
Nick Maines, who scored in double figures 3 straight games before that. He scored in double figures only 3 total times in conference play. The lead is 6. 2 minutes left to go. Moody for Bannon. Slips again. A bar of soap out there, and it's claimed by McLaughlin. Timeout, Northern Arizona. Lumberjacks up by 6. $1:50 to go. Northern Arizona up 71-65. The #9 seed in this tournament. So close to punching their ticket already here to the Big Sky Conference Championship game.
Tony, I want you to watch this. This is a huge issue going down the stretch here with 1 minute and 50 seconds left. NAU only has 4 fouls. there's going to be a couple critical possessions by Montana here in the last minute 50 that the Lumberjacks can go out and foul and waste a foul and take a little offensive momentum away from them. That will be big, big coming down the stretch. NAU with 2 timeouts left, the Grizz with 2 timeouts left. Both small guards in now for NAU. Of course, that's a combination that they upset and sent the #1 seed home with just 2 days ago.
Cone the turnaround. The lead is 8, and he has 24.
Now this is where that foul may come into play. Oh.
And a flop call, a big one. That would have been an enormous turnover.
And that would have been much better for the Lumberjacks if that would have just been called a foul and not a flop. But Kevin Brill, a veteran official, right there on top of the play. Watch the angle Kevin Brill had here. It wasn't like he made this out of left field. And looking at that replay, I think that is the right call. McLaughlin went down with not a lot of contact there. So nice call by Kevin Brill. Some guys don't get a whole lot of pats on the back. They get a whole lot of kicks in the backside. I thought that was a pretty nice call.
Some very good crew here tonight. Tommy Nunez, Randy Richardson, Kevin Brill.
All Pac-12 officials. And not one of them, Tony, called a technical on me in my coaching career. So
and that's why you like that.
That's the reason I like him so much. Because I can't say that about a whole lot of guys in the league. Hard pressed by the Grizz here. Watch this quick first trap.
Jalen Cone able to work his way out of it. Nick Maines draws that foul. He'll go to the line. Important 2 free throws coming up here with just over a minute to go.
You know, and a big issue if you're in the situation with the Lumberjacks, you don't want to get too conservative. I tell you, Jalen Cone, everything but conservative on that. Just like a scalded dog down the middle of the court with that ball, attacking the basket. Nick Maines 1 for 2 his last trip. An 80% free throw shooter. Let's see if he can cash in here and give his team a little bit more of his cushion.
Nick Maines' brother Jordan plays at Arizona. Led the team in 3-point percentage a year ago. He's a guy that really embodies what this program's all about. 4 times on the all-academic team. That has been a major priority for Coach Shane Burkhardt.
Well, Nick Maines has had a great career. As I'd mentioned a couple of times, he's played in more games than anyone in Lumberjack history. He's also attempted more 3-point shots than anyone in Lumberjack history. Both makes and attempts. He has had a great career, and he's finishing it in a strong manner. 5 straight double-digit games, double digits in both games in this tournament. Playing like a savvy seasoned veteran.
Well, Coach, you and I talked about Northern Arizona all season being better than what their record said. They were still 9th, and they still lost a ton of games. How surprised are you to see them in this position right here?
You know, it's really funny. I had a conversation with Coach Burkhardt at their very first shoot-around, and we were lamenting the hard luck season they had. And I said, you know, I've always felt like that if you coach long enough, those heartbreaking losses even out, and you have some wins that you can say, okay, now we're 500 in, and boy, no one deserves this role of Cinderella more than Shane Burkhardt and the Lumberjacks.
A shocker that took place the other night against Eastern Washington. A shocker here so far. And another upset brewing with under a minute to go in a 9-point game. Moody, no good, banning the O board. And this is one of the fouls Northern Arizona had to give.
Bannon now with 11 rebounds. As I mentioned, his 8th double-double of the season, 14 and 10. And there was one of those fouls that the Lumberjacks had to give, keeping the Grizz off the free throw line. They actually have one more.
A turnover and a nightmarish final stretch here for Montana.
And Jalen Cone, of course, back in the game. Jalen Cone with 4 fouls, so Coach Burkhardt takes him out on defense, puts him back in on offense. And boy, just nothing going right here in the last several minutes for the Grizz.
14 turnovers for Montana tonight. Cone fouled by Josh Bannon. This will be double bonus here and 2 free throws.
And as I said, oh yeah, he is also the second leading free throw shooter in the league. Is Jalen Cone at 85%. Second in three-point shooting, as we witnessed tonight. Second in free throw shooting and 5th in scoring.
Jalen Cone with great experience before being in Northern Arizona. He played with Bam Adebayo and against De'Aaron Fox and Jason Tatum in his youth.
Well, if he hits this, Elvis has just about left the building for the Grizz. It's going to be tough to come back.
The Northern Arizona Lumberjacks started Big Sky play 0-5 on the road. They're about to win their 5th in a row away from home. Moody has to force it, can't get it. Vasquez the board, puts in that layup. Timeout Montana.
And I think that is the Grizz last time out. What a great rebound by Vasquez, the 6'3" guard up around the tall timber there. 9-point game right now. If you are at the NAU bench, Coach Burkhardt drawing up his press attack, telling the kids, well, look, we got 2 timeouts left. If we can't get it in by a 4 count, and you make that count in your head, then you call a timeout immediately. Remember, they can run the baseline now, Tony, so he could be drawing some kind of little trick play up where they run the baseline, give you a little misdirection play, but all they've got to do is get a catch, and the Grizz have got to foul. The Grizz, in the meantime, are talking about, let's sell out here. Let's get all denial, hard first trap, try to get that steal. If we can't, we got to foul immediately.
The story of Champ Week here so far. Northern Arizona 5-13 in conference play. They had huge stretches where they lost a number of games. You mentioned a lot of close ones, but they just had a tough time finishing games and making the key plays to win it. The dramatic buzzer beater on Sunday.
Tony, they still have a foul to give, so if they should happen to turn it over, and I'm sure they're aware of that, they can just reach out and again stop offensive momentum there. So they're in a 1-4 set. They'll send someone long and then a couple guys probably to each corner to try to stretch this defense out. Or you could just give it to Jalen Cone, who is quicker than a hiccup and also shoots 85% from the free throw line.
When you have this number of guys that shoot this well from the stripe, it's kind of like having a closer in baseball, right? I mean, you shorten up the game, you can feel the stress mounting on your opponents, and you have to put yourself in position like this, but you can see they have the makeup of a team to be great to finish games when playing in this spot, because they don't miss free throws.
Well, Tony, isn't it amazing? We're sitting here talking about all the positive things that the Lumberjacks are doing, and about 3 weeks ago it looked like they had one foot in the grave and the other one on a banana peel. Here they are getting ready to play in the championship game for the NCAA bid in the Big Sky Conference tournament.
That one falls in. They're getting all the bounces, all the rolls, and an 11-point lead for a team that has been all about character, mental toughness, resilience, and the ability to continue to believe in what they were being taught. Moody launches. It's no good again. A tough night for one of the best shooters in the conference. Martin nails that 3 and cuts it to 8. This will be a timeout, Northern Arizona. They have 1 left. Montana out of timeouts.
And Coach Burkhardt again drawing up his press attack. And they still have 1 timeout left and 1 foul to give. I mean, they are in the catbird seat right now with 24 seconds left.
Discussion taking place here. Great ball security from this team, great ball handlers. And you could just feel it being around this team yesterday. They had the night off, they were here in the arena. The feeling wasn't, wow, wasn't this a great story? We're happy to be in the semifinals. The attitude was, no, we're going to go get the next one. They know something we don't, Coach, and you can feel it in the way they play.
Well, you could almost just watch them grow in this tournament. They played in the 10-9 game, won that, knocked off the #1 seed Eastern Washington in their second game, and are on the verge of knocking off the #4 seed, the Montana Grizzlies, who have won 8 of their last 9 and have been playing terrific basketball. And the Lumberjacks look like they think they belong in that championship game.
Fuller in the open space. Bannon is going to reach out and foul him.
And NAU in the double bonus, so regardless, Fuller is going to shoot a couple here, and Fuller is a 83% free throw shooter. As you said, Tony, they have enough outstanding free throw shooters. It's going to be tough for the Grizzlies.
Xavier Fuller, you never know who's going to elevate their game when the tournament comes. He was going to be an X factor, no pun intended there. He averaged 12.8 points a game during the season, boosted that up to 16 during the tournament. He had some timely shots in that game against Eastern Washington, a huge reason why they won. And now he has his team up 10.
NAU 9 straight made free throws, and that's how you close a game.
Fuller with a steal. And with that foul to give you talked about, they played it to their advantage. Northern Arizona about to head to the conference championship game for the first time since 2008. This will be their 6th win in their last 8 games.
And the last time they won this tournament was 2000, so 23 years ago. They'll get an opportunity to take on the winner of our next game. Fuller now with, I believe, 12 points, but what he's done at the defensive end, you can't even measure, because, boy, he has been a demon. There's that foul to give.
Well, just maximizing every ounce of this late game situation. Great game awareness.
Well, Coach Burkar has done a
Yeah.
great job at those timeouts, making his guys aware of what they got to work with.
Moody, no good. The tap out, Fuller, Northern Arizona. A few weeks ago, they were the doormat of the Big Sky. Now they're on the doorstep of the Big Sky title.
Unbelievable. What a well-played game by the